Should we go into more rumors of the Nintendo Switch 2?
Let's do it. These ones are, if you've been following along with the show, we've been talking about basically every rumor for the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever the next gen console is Nintendo are planning on making. I'm sure it will be called the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, do you think it'd be just called Nintendo Switch 2? Maybe, because they've never done that.
Yeah, probably not, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Super Nintendo Switch?
Do you reckon they could go Pro? Nintendo Switch Pro?
No, see, you don't want to fragment. You want to, like when they did the Wii U, which was like probably one of the least popular or best-selling consoles where they tried that whole dual screen thing, and that's one of the reasons why it failed. But they called it the Wii U to building on the success of the Wii. And because of that, a lot of people didn't understand what it was. They just thought it was a different version of what they already had. You know, consumers that don't know anything.
Fair
so
enough.
If you just go out there and if you see Nintendo Switch Plus or something, you'd be like, oh yeah. Because they've already got a Switch Lite or whatever. They need to, it needs to be some form of branding that lets you know it's a sequel. And that's why we're all kind of using Nintendo Switch 2.
I just thought of something, and they're never going to do this, but imagine if they called it the Switchblade.
The Switchblade?
Yeah.
Nintendo Switchblade.
Nintendo's family-friendly G-rated developer and publisher release a console called Switchblade. That would be awesome. They're definitely not going to do that, but for all intents and purposes, we're calling it the Nintendo Switch 2 for now until we have an official name. According to Takesha, do you want to pronounce that for me, because I will butcher it?
Mochizuki.
Mizuki?
Mochizuki? Yeah.
Anyway, a reporter from Bloomberg and which is citing market research firm Omdia analyst Hiroshi Hayase. I'm terrible at pronouncing these Asian names. I apologize. Indicate the next generation console will arrive with an 8-inch LCD screen, not an OLED. So out of the CES madness, everyone would have seen that pays attention to the even remotely to the tech industry, all of the OLED panels that have come out. And I can't remember if previous rumors, I'm pretty sure they did point towards the Nintendo Switch 2 adopting an OLED panel.
There has been, but there was strong indications that it was going to be LCD, and the LCD makes sense just because of the cost. But it just means that there's going to be an OLED model down the track.
That is what these rumors are.
They do command a premium, but it's just disappointing because it's such a game changer, right? Like if you look at the Switch OLED next to the Switch, if you look at the Steam Deck OLED next to the Steam, it's just night and day.
It is night and day. So the newest rumors come from display shipment data. Nintendo is planning on manufacturing 10 million units of the next-gen console in the first fiscal year, and these units won't feature an OLED panel, according to the previously mentioned market research firm. However, that doesn't rule out OLED altogether. As Omdia says, not for this year in quotation marks, which seems to allude to a second next generation console, including an OLED panel. So do you think it's possible that we could see a kind of like what happened with the Switch, where they came out with the base model?
I think it's guaranteed because the OLED model was popular. So I think they're just going to do the base model and an OLED model. But I'm hoping that they do it at the same time. That they actually launch with 2 SKUs.
Really?
The LCD cheaper one and then the more expensive OLED.
Do you think they've never done anything like that before?
No, because Nintendo aren't interested in, being on the bleeding or cutting edge and offering here's a version with 2 terabytes of storage, an OLED panel, an overclocked GPU, whatever. They're not interested in, that's not where it's just games, right?
Yeah.
And the hardware is a delivery for them to to be able to be the home of the next Mario and Zelda and stuff like that. And you need better hardware to kind of like push that tech as because we're now in the 4K realm of like home entertainment, but also like the Switch is just now showing its age dramatically in terms of the mobile chip hardware that it's got. So like there has to be a sequel, and it's going to be more powerful, guaranteed. But to keep the cost down, like they're the only company that makes a profit on hardware, like a decent profit on hardware. They're not in the business of losing money. Like when this PlayStation 5 launched, Sony weren't making money off the console.
Yeah.
When the Xbox Series X launched, it's not a money-making business. Like, the reason those things are like $500 US, and it's like, oh, that's as powerful as a $1,000 gaming PC, but it's like bespoke chips and stuff like that from all these different sources. Like, it's not like a moneymaker. Like, you sell 10 million PS5s, you're not making like a lot of profit. But if Nintendo sells 10 million Switches, they're making a lot of profit.
Yeah.
If they're going to sell 10 million Switch 2s, they're going to make a lot of profit.
Yeah, just for the listeners, Sony and Microsoft make a lot of their money off of the subscription services and game
software sales,
their software sales and stuff like that. Just like because there may be some listeners that weren't that's new knowledge to, would be like, well, then why did they keep making the new consoles? Like, well, they have to be making money somewhere, so that's just for them.
You're making a lot, like, that's right. Like the cost to produce a game or to sell it digitally cost them nothing, like in terms of like the data, but you're paying $70. Like, like it's like the you're paying for the development cost of the game and the R&D that companies like Sony and Microsoft put into developing these bits of hardware. At some point they do turn a profit, but like initially, no.
Yeah. There's a ramp
initially, it's like
period.
How much are they going to take a hit, or are they just going to break even? Basically, they just try and break even.
Still on Nintendo Switch 2, previous rumors pointed to the adoption of an NVIDIA Tegra 239 chipset, 8 gig of RAM, 64 gig of storage, 1080p screen, DLSS, and ray tracing support. And the expected price is $39.99. How do you feel about all of that?
I think that for the screen, I think Nintendo will adopt like 800p or some weird in-between resolution because of the size.
Yeah.
At that size, you don't, if you can get like a little bit more performance, you don't need 1080p. I think you can do like 900p or some sort of weird resolution.
I'd like 900p plus DLSS and ray tracing.
That's right, yeah.
That I'd be fine with, because that's essentially going to be more than 1080p anyway, or it's going to look better than 1080p native without DLSS and ray tracing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all comes down to cost, but I think they should also like put something in the dock that actually boosts performance as well, instead of just being like a plastic shell that just does pass through.
I agree with that 100%. Like, let me make that dock so it upscales my game natively, not through software.
Yeah, that like it boosts stuff, and then it like has like additional AI hardware or something to upscale, or whatever the case is. But yeah, I think those specs are kind of like where it's going to end up.
Do you think it's ambitious, those specs?
I think it's going to be less than what we expect.
Yeah.
I think whatever it is when it comes to Nintendo, it's like, don't expect like
crazy hardware.
But the thing is, like, where you're going from, like the Tegra chip in the existing Switch is so low powered, but like what Nintendo has managed to, you look at like Super Mario
Odyssey,
right? And that looks awesome. I love the art direction. I love how it looks. I love how it plays. But that hardware in there, right, is like not even Xbox 360 levels of power.
Yeah.
It's like below, it's like, it's like 2006 or 2005 hardware, right? Like it's already like a decade plus behind. So like people are expecting that the Switch would be kind of like PS4 levels. And if it is that level, that's pretty amazing.
Especially
the thing is, like
the jump in performance compared to the original Switch will be night and day.
Yeah, it would just be interesting to see what a NVIDIA mobile chip would look like. at that sort of like, yeah, and with DLSS and stuff like that, it's just going to be way better, but it's not going to be like, you know, PS5. You can't get PS5 in a handheld. You can't get
For $399, you're not going to be able to do it.
no.
No. We'll keep you updated on any new Switch rumors.